And now to discuss this rating on the news tonight is a constitutional lawyer and a senior advocate of Nigeria, Yusuf Ali. He joins us live tonight. Senior advocate, would like to thank you so much for agreeing to speak to Galaxy TV. Well, you are aware of the rating by Transparency International, which reduced Nigeria's corruption perception to 149 out of 180 countries of the world. Do you think this represents the true picture, considering government's efforts at reducing corruption in the country?
Very much. Let me start by, first of all, thanking you for inviting me to this program. If you recall, in 2016, I wrote a book which was titled, I tried to tackle the issue of corruption in Nigeria and the ways to combat the menace. Suggestions were preferred in the book. I've also held this view all along that the top to bottom fight against corruption will not work because it's systemic. And except majority of Nigerians buy into the issue that corruption has held the country down over these years, we may not go far in the fight against corruption. To say that I was surprised about the rating would be less than candid. Those who do day-to-day businesses in our client will probably tell you that that rating will be correct. I've not seen many changes in the way we do business, especially government business, for so many number of years, for example. So, and I also want to tell you, those who, the Transparency International that does this rating, what they use, the standard they use is empirical. It's not just a rule of the thumb. So, if you want to fault them, then you have to set up your own parameters for measurement of corruption perception.
Yes,
if you don't have an alternative,
senior
you cannot quarrel scientifically with what you have done.
Are often brought
I think
for the judiciary.
For me, rather than to deny this kind of and try to address issues where we have issues.
All right, senior advocates,
because
corruption cases are often brought before the judiciary. Just a moment, SAN. Will it be fair to say that the decisions of the courts on corruption cases are responsible for the poor perception of the Transparency International on Nigeria's anti-corruption war?
I don't think so. See, how do they come about this index? They interact at your points of entry. What happens when people come into your country? How are they treated by officials who mount your points of entry? Most of them have businesses in our country representing one multinational company or the other. How are they treated at the MDAs? If they have issues with the security agencies, how are they treated by the security agencies? These are very obvious things that it's easier to be able to measure the level of corruption in a country. Sometimes they even play the role of agents provocateur. They pretend that they wanted to do business and want to measure the level of transparency and the ease of doing business. So all these are issues. Sometimes they go to the security agencies and lodge complaints. and they want to see how these are handled. So these are very clear issues, and I believe that the role of the court in all this is very minimal. It's only those who are brought to court that are tried by the court, and courts do not do conjectures. Court is not a place for magic. Cases are decided in accordance with the facts and the law. Which reminds me, and I've said this often, in the trail of criminal trial, the court is the last bus stop. You want to ask, what is the level of the efficiency of the investigative system? So these are issues that we must address. Criminal administration is a long chain. Each part must play
because
its
we are
part
pressed
well.
for time, Senior
We have the
Advocate.
ultimate law.
Because we are pressed for time, moving forward,
Yes.
what do you think the Nigerian government needs to urgently do to remedy the situation, given that Nigeria's rating has continued to be on the decline in the last 5 years or so?
Thank you. Number one, let's reduce bureaucracy in the way we do our things. The less bureaucracy, the more transparent the system becomes. Number two, the world has become better. Let's ensure that in government businesses that need payment, payment is made online, so that public servants, civil servants will have very little access to cash. Number three, the ease of doing business must be real ease of doing business. There must be timeline delivery for services by government agents and government agencies. Number four, we must learn to name and shame those who bring all these problems on our country. Number five, we must ensure that those who have been proven to have committed acts of corruption are made to face the rigors of the law. There should be no two ways, no two standards for people who belong to A or people who belong to B. There must be level playing ground in the treatment of people who have messed up in terms of corruption. Number six, the citizenry must be made to buy into this anti-corruption. Until the average Nigerian knows that corruption has no ethnic nor religious origin, it is only then that we will get out of the woods. But as long as we leave substance, if a Muslim makes an allegation against a non-Muslim about corruption, nobody looks at the substance. We turn into religious prison. If an Hausa Fulani person makes an allegation against a non-Hausa Fulani person about corruption, we don't look at the substance. We look at the ethnic coloration. So we must address these issues, and they're not difficult to address. And then, of course, those who are responsible for the enforcement of the laws on anti-corruption must be totally above board. And
Senior Advocate, these are really very valid points. We'd like to thank you so much, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Yusuf Ali, for speaking with Galaxy TV.
Thank you very much.